Salutations! Welcome to Spiritual Blitherings, Philosophical Ponderings, and Everything Ramblings at the Hopeful Humanist Cafe. I am Woodrow II, and as you know, my dad is the Hopeful Humanist. This is a Just Some Guy production, and here we talk about the good life, obscure t-shirt ideas, novel first sentences, etc. stuff, and resources for your spiritual toolbox. Sit back and enjoy this one-take blithering moment with all the background sounds of life. Peace out.
Well, thank you very much, Woodrow II, for an amazing introduction to episode 30, Sleep is a Gift You Give Yourself. So today we have an introductory clip from my good friend, spiritual brother, Danielson. He was the generous contributor to our last episode in terms of the novel first sentence for us to consider, reflect, and think about. And today he has decided that it's okay if I share a little clip from a file that he sent me in terms of a discussion that we've been having about sleep. So here's a thought from a good friend, Danielson, about something that he finds helpful in terms of helping him get to sleep. So take it away, Dan.
The kind of last resort, especially with work. I mean, it's like there's that imperative of I have to get my sleep, and the psychology of it, and that presents itself as an obstacle of you getting sleep. That desperation. But in my desperation, so again, what was I getting at? So the last thing that I pull out of my toolkit of sleep-inducing tactics is I have the room somewhat lit, and I focus on something in the room, and I try to I'll in my mind I'll go through a poem that I know very slowly, and I'll recite the poem while my eyes are open, and then I close my eyes and I recite another poem. And so I go through this thing of opening and closing my eyes for periods, and it could be a mantra I'm going through in my mind, or focusing or counting a number of breaths with my eyes open, and almost without fail, it my eyes get so heavy that they just close, and I go to sleep, and that's like the trigger of me getting to sleep. I know it sounds crazy, but that's Danielson's secret soporific, I think that's the word, soporific, sleep-inducing tactic. I will leave you with that.
Well, there you go. I've got my Nespresso steamer going. In the spirit of this discussion, with that special introductory clip from my good friend Danielson. Thank you, Danielson, for sharing that last resort idea that helps you get ready for sleep, for a sweet, slumbering sleep. And we're gonna talk a little bit about sleep here today, but specifically, my goal is to simply share a couple of resource links from YouTube that you could listen to. They're like audio books to help you go to sleep. There are some for adults, and there are some for kids. There are calm sleep stories for adults. Here, the Norland Night Train, Blue Gold, and Sacred New Zealand. And for kids, sleep meditation for kids, there's the Magic Tent, the Sleepy Sloth, the Sleep Train, Destination Dreamland. And I hope that they could be of value and help in terms of getting to sleep. Dan did a great job of identifying this imperative that many of us seem to struggle with. Well, if I was to describe my relationship with sleep, I would be describing it as something that is desperate. My relationship is desperate. I desperately want sleep. And it has also been, sounds of life going on here. I'm just rinsing an espresso so that the milk doesn't harden and create a film. Keep it clean. Keeping it clean. Eurocan. Eurocan used to be a company I used to work at as a commercial manager many, many moons ago. And that was the slogan, keeping it clean. I just had a transportation, a moment of being transported back in time. Okay, so we have the steamed milk. We have the ground cinnamon, Sounds of Life. And I have 2 drink delights. I've got my steamed milk with cinnamon, and I got my customary dandelion root. And I thought that in honor of Danielson's suggestion, that I would share a poem. Yeah, hi Lilu. I would share a poem today to, yeah, you like that idea? I think it's a great idea too. Now, I just don't know where I put the poem. So let me struggle with that for a moment. Were you just taking a nap? Because if you were taking a nap, I know that you don't struggle with that as much as I do. Yeah, it's true. Here it is. I found it. So, a poem. Danielson says he's tried a poem, recites it eyes open, eyes closed in a dimly lit room, and that has been the thing that helps him get to his sweet slumber. In a past episode, I mentioned, because I, struggling with a concussion for a number of months, that out of a desperation to get better, I would do anything. Thich Nhat Hanh, in his book Happiness, where he identified how it's difficult to be mindful, suggested there could be benefits to hugging a tree. So I found this poem about trees. I've hugged a tree. Apparently there's some benefits in that. And Danielson suggested that reciting a poem in terms of a specific process has helped him get to sleep. So here, instead of a novel first sentence, we are going to do a poem today from Joyce Sidman, and then I will do the quote for the day. So, What Do the Trees Know? By Joyce Sidman. What do the trees know? To bend when all the wild winds blow. Roots are deep and time is slow. All we grasp, we must let go. What do the trees know? Buds can weather ice and snow. Dark gives way to sunlight's glow. Strength and stillness help us grow. I think that's beautiful. That is in Woodrow II's preparatory A piano repertoire. That's what it's called, the name of the book. So we have from an audio book called What the Most Successful People Do Before Breakfast. So let me just bring this back here, make sure I've got her name correct. Laura Vanderkam. So this is a good book too because it also relates to the idea of schedules, and Laura Vanderkam is suggesting, this is just kind of a tangent, that in terms of your buttered toast, my buttered toast waits for no one, that creating schedules, they help provide the scaffolding that we need to stay on track. And that many people, they're saying, well, I just don't have the time to do all those things. And this book is suggesting that successful people use their mornings in ways that other people don't. And that if you could get up a little bit earlier, while everyone else is sleeping and work out or do your emails, that you'll actually generate a sense of more time in your life. And that there could be a whole bunch of benefits if you give the morning a new look in terms of what it might have to offer. But in the book, and it was about an hour or two listening to in its completion, and it was easy listening. But she provided a quote from Sean Acor, and he is the author of a book called The Happiness Advantage. And he shares this thought. She quotes him as saying, "What the brain focuses on becomes your reality." And because I was obsessing and I was desperate about sleep, it created a barrier for me to get sleep. So there had to be a point where I had to let go. And in terms of different discussions I had with my beautiful wife, she identified that, maybe the ideas that you have about sleep, you're going to have to let go. And in a discussion with someone else about a whole different topic, there was something that Bob mentioned, and it went like this. He says, when we create arbitrary dates or deadlines or goals for ourselves that don't fit reality, we create a false sense of failure. And so because I got caught up in this downward vicious cycle of obsessing and being desperate about sleep, and it creating, barriers because of that, I was making the sleep experience more difficult for myself than it had to be. There had to be a point of letting go. And for me, one of the greatest tools that I have used to try to help me reestablish my relationship with sleep is this idea of nightly reciting the Serenity Prayer. So, Divine, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Help me recognize that if I can't sleep, that rest is restorative and it's beneficial as well. And that if I do certain things, they could increase the likelihood that I'll sleep, or they can increase my appreciation for rest in and of itself in terms of its restorative capacities. There is, for people that, for listeners that thought I was going to talk about different theories of sleep, as I'm not going to do that, I still want to provide a link. And the link is to a TED Talk by Russell Foster. He has a TED Talk entitled, Why Do We Sleep? He notes that we spend 33% of our lives sleeping. He's identified that there are 3 kind of different theories that explain what sleep might be about. One is that there's a restoration hypothesis. It's something that allows us to restore our minds, our brains, our bodies after we've, pushed ourselves through a day and all the effort that thinking and moving our body through the world entails and requires, and because we're drained at the end of the day. There are theories out there that suggest the reason we sleep is so that we can restore our bodies. There's another theory about energy conservation, that because we need to conserve energy so that we can continue to meet the demands of life, sleep is something that we do. Russell believes that there's not a lot of support for that position, but perhaps it's neither just one of these theories in terms of why do we sleep. Maybe it's all of these theories working in combination with one another. And the last one is about brain processing and memory consolidation. He believes that there's a lot to be said for that one, that, throughout the day we have experiences, and in order to consolidate memory about meaningful experiences that we can then use as information about how to navigate the world, that sleep's very important. And he's identified that there are studies that suggest that in terms of novel solutions to complex problems, sleep is an essential aspect of that solution generating process. So if you want to learn more about theories of sleep and the benefits of sleep, you can go to that YouTube link. I'm not going to spend any time having that discussion. My goal is to identify that there's something that I've been doing in addition to steamed milk, in addition to the Serenity Prayer, and that has been going to these audio book-like YouTube story clips that have helped me at night calm down and get ready for sleep, and that maybe they might help you. In addition to that, there have been a number of audiobooks that I have also been enjoying, and there are 3 of them in particular. They're easy listening. The one is as I already mentioned, What the Most Successful People Do Before Breakfast by Laura Vanderkam. And there is another one called Self-Hypnosis. And this one, let's figure out who this author is. Linda Hudson. Now, this one is a 33-minute listening to, and she has a nice calm voice. And basically, by focusing on your breathing, by visualizing a mental countdown from 10 to 1, and then creating a moment of quiet reflection where you do some intention setting, she suggests that there are some relaxing benefits to this self-hypnosis process in terms of getting relaxation and sleep. So I've listened to her book on many occasions over the past number of months. I continue to go in and renew my borrowing privileges at my local library. The other one that I think is worth listening to is called Making Space by Thich Nhat Hanh. And he's identifying that instead of taking pills, this is his suggestion, that what we might want to do is to put more effort and energy, and once again it's hard, into mindful relaxation. And he focuses on the body scan, where you go through an awareness of the different parts of your body. You're breathing in, you recognize that part of your body, or if there's a tension in that part of your body, and then you smile to that part of your body. So to give an example, it would be something to this effect. Breathing in, I'm aware that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware that I'm breathing out. Breathing in, I'm aware of the tension in my body. Breathing out, I release the tension in my body. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile to the world. There's another little quote that he has made mention of in two different books. So the Making Space that I just mentioned, and also when I did the episode on Mindfulness is Hard, the Happiness book that I referenced, he suggests that we're too busy, we're constantly busy, we need to learn how to slow down, and that one of the things we need to do first is to just stop ourselves, just stop and become aware of the breath. And the breath is what links the mind and the body together. And that when we do that, we can kind of recognize our monkey mind realities. And he says usually what we're encouraged to do is don't just sit there, do something. And in both of the books, he has shared the reminder that maybe what we really need to do. And this could be something that if we do it throughout the day could actually perhaps help us at sleep time, when it's time to finally start decompressing and relaxing and getting ready for bed. His encouragement is, don't just do something, sit there. Like a strong encouragement that it's not always about doing, but perhaps we need to be doing a little more of this just being. Right? So check out those resources. I think they could be really helpful. And for kids too that get stuck and have different things happening in their minds at the end of the day, they have their relative struggles as well. And perhaps it helps. And if not, maybe share it with someone else, because it might be something that can benefit them. In my next episode, I'm going to give a little more food for thought in terms of Danielson's novel First Sentence. In the last episode, I've if someone's going to share something of themselves, I think, one way of honoring that is giving some time and creating some space to reflect. And I really appreciate his sharing. And what I will say, that's kind of a little bit of a teaser, is I find that there's a great way of giving kind of a background flavor to that quote by linking it just simply to some of the ideas in the Happiness Curve by Jonathan Rauch. So thank you for joining me for another blithering moment, a tip of the iceberg conversation about some of the things that I've been doing to help me sleep, and hopefully I'll be helping you as well. And it looks like I got company, so I guess it's a good time to say fare thee well for now. Peace.